you have the courage to walk down a completely empty hospital corridor with rusted doors, abandoned stretchers, and the echo of your own footsteps as the only sound in the building? Hospitals are places created to save lives. But what happens when they are shut down abruptly, left behind, and taken over by silence? Some of these buildings hold decades of difficult history, official records of overcrowding, epidemics, and controversial treatments. Others became the setting for repeated reports from former staff, local residents, and urban explorers. What turns an abandoned hospital into one of the most talked about places when it comes to supernatural phenomena? In this video, you're going to join me on a growing journey through the 10 most supernatural abandoned hospitals in America. We begin with structures marked by isolation and move toward institutions whose reputations have lasted for generations. Stay until the end, because number 1 is considered by many to be the most enigmatic abandoned hospital ever documented on the continent. Chile, Santiago, Hospital del Tórax. Located in Santiago, Chile, Hospital del Tórax is a former institution specializing in respiratory diseases, built on elevated ground and partially isolated from the city. It became known both for its medical importance and for the reports that surfaced after older sectors were deactivated. Opened in the first half of the 20th century, it was a national reference for tuberculosis treatment at a time when isolation was considered essential for recovery. Patients remained hospitalized for long periods in specific wings. The turning point came with the advancement of antibiotics and the reduction of long-term hospitalizations, which led to the gradual closure of entire pavilions. The complex featured large wards, long corridors, open-air areas for constant ventilation, and divisions based on types of treatment. Part of the structure was modernized, but older wings were sealed off and deteriorated over time. Access to deactivated areas is not officially permitted. Internal circulation includes narrow hallways, old staircases, and rooms with abandoned stretchers and equipment. Real risks include accumulated mold, dust, water damage, and structural instability in sectors closed for years. The atmosphere is defined by tall windows allowing uneven light inside, peeling walls, and the sound of wind moving through empty corridors, creating constant echoes. Documented fact: the hospital was a national reference in pulmonary treatment for decades and operated with high admission rates. Popular report: local residents claim to hear footsteps and doors closing in the sealed wings during the early morning hours. Hospital del Tórax became a symbol of a medical era defined by isolation and prolonged hospitalization. And if a hospital built to treat illness already carries unsettling stories, the next reveals the impact of abandonment across an entire complex. United States, Laurel, Maryland, Forest Haven Asylum. Located in Laurel, Maryland, United States, Forest Haven Asylum opened in 1925 as an institution for individuals with intellectual disabilities. Its primary notoriety is tied to documented reports of neglect during its final decades of operation. The complex was designed as a self-sufficient community with dormitories, infirmaries, dining halls, administrative buildings, and structures spread across a large wooded property. Over time, overcrowding severely affected the quality of care. The turning point came in the 1960s and 1970s, when official investigations revealed inadequate conditions and serious failures in care. Legal actions contributed to its permanent closure in the 1990s. The brick buildings remain largely abandoned, with broken windows, damaged roofs, and vegetation overtaking the facades. Access is restricted, though the site has frequently been targeted by trespassers. Circulation includes unstable staircases, damaged flooring, and poorly lit underground areas. Real risks are significant: potential partial collapses, heavy mold presence, and materials deteriorated by time. The environment is silent, surrounded by tall trees that isolate the complex from the urban area. Inside, echoes dominate the hallways, and light enters only through cracks in broken windows. Documented fact: public reports confirmed institutional neglect before the facility closed. Popular report: explorers claimed to hear metallic sounds and movement in completely empty wings, especially at night. Forest Haven became a symbol of institutional abandonment in the United States and a recurring subject in independent investigations. And if the weight here comes from official records and structural decay, the next hospital expands the scale even further. United States, Thiles, New York. Letchworth Village. Located in Thiles, New York, United States, Letchworth Village opened in 1911 as an institution for individuals with intellectual disabilities. Throughout the 20th century, it became known both for its massive scale and for the reports that marked its final years. The complex was designed as a self-sufficient community, including a hospital, dormitories, and administrative buildings spread across a vast wooded property. The original proposal was to provide structured care in an open environment, but the growing number of residents led to severe overcrowding. The turning point occurred in the 1940s and 1950s, when public investigations exposed failures in patient care. The final closure came in the 1990s, after a gradual reduction of operations. The site included dozens of brick buildings connected by internal roads. Today, many structures are deteriorated, with broken windows and clear signs of long-term abandonment. Access is officially prohibited, though the complex has frequently been targeted by trespassers. Circulation includes long corridors, worn staircases, and empty communal wards. Real risks involve structural instability, compromised flooring, and aged materials weakened by decades of exposure. The atmosphere is silent and isolated. Wind moves through corridors, vegetation creeps over facades, and light filters unevenly through shattered openings. Documented fact: public records confirmed periods of overcrowding and inadequate conditions during certain decades. Popular report: visitors describe hearing footsteps and low noises in completely empty wings. Letchworth Village became one of the most talked about abandoned complexes in New York. And if its sheer scale is already overwhelming, the next hospital stands out for its monumental architecture that still dominates the city skyline. United States, Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Fergus Falls State Hospital. Located in Fergus Falls, Minnesota, United States, Fergus Falls State Hospital opened in 1890 as a state psychiatric institution. Its primary notoriety is tied to its monumental architecture and its long period of operation as a mental health facility. Designed under what became known as the Kirkbride Plan, the hospital was built to provide structured treatment, with wings separated by gender and level of care. Over the 20th century, the institution received thousands of patients. The turning point came in the latter half of the century, when mental health policy reforms and the reduction of long-term institutionalization led to its closure in the 1980s. The main building is massive, constructed of brick, with multiple wings extending from a central structure. Its imposing facade still dominates the city's horizon. Large portions of the interior remained vacant for years, including long corridors, communal wards, wide staircases, and technical basement areas. Access is restricted, and the building has gone through preservation and redevelopment attempts. Real risks include structural deterioration, water damage, and instability in areas that remained closed for extended periods. The interior atmosphere is marked by tall windows, constant echoes in long hallways, and sudden temperature shifts in deactivated wings. Documented fact: the hospital operated for nearly a century as Minnesota's state psychiatric institution. Popular report: visitors claim to hear doors moving and feel sudden temperature changes in empty corridors. Fergus Falls State Hospital became a symbol of 19th century psychiatric architecture in the United States. And if its imposing structure already leaves an impression, the next hospital spreads across a vast property, surrounded by forest and persistent stories. United States, Preston, Connecticut, Norwich State Hospital. Located in Preston, Connecticut, United States, Norwich State Hospital was a large psychiatric complex that gained notoriety after its abandonment and for the reports associated with its empty wings. Its reputation lies in the contrast between the size of the facility and a silence that eventually took over. Founded in the early 20th century, The hospital operated for decades following the model of large, isolated institutions. As mental health policies changed, the number of long-term patients gradually declined until the facility was permanently closed. The complex covered an extensive area, with multiple brick buildings connected by internal roads. It included wards, administrative sectors, and separated treatment wings. After closure, many structures entered visible deterioration. Access became restricted, and internal circulation is defined by long corridors, aging staircases, and repetitive rooms that increase the sense of disorientation. Real risks include structural instability in degraded areas, scattered debris, and legal restrictions against unauthorized entry. The environment is described as cold and silent. Wind passes through open windows, old doors creak with light air currents, and echoes travel through empty hallways. Documented fact: the hospital operated for most of the 20th century and was officially deactivated following reforms in mental health systems. Popular report: visitors claim to hear footsteps and unexplained noises in empty wings, experiences that remain within personal testimony. If you're following this escalation to America's most supernatural abandoned hospitals, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell, because from this point forward, we enter even more intense locations. United States, Queens, New York. Creedmoor Psychiatric Center. Located in Queens, New York, United States, Creedmoor Psychiatric Center is a psychiatric complex known for its deactivated historic wings and the unusual atmosphere created by the coexistence of active facilities and abandoned buildings. Its main notoriety lies in the older structures that gradually became vacant over time. Founded in the early 20th century, the center was created to meet the growing demand for psychiatric treatment in New York City. As long-term institutionalization declined, several buildings were slowly emptied, marking the beginning of partial abandonment. The complex includes multiple brick buildings, extended corridors, and interior courtyards. Some sections remain structurally solid, while others show visible deterioration and aging infrastructure. Access to older wings is restricted, especially since part of the center still operates. Circulation in deactivated buildings includes repetitive hallways and heavy doors that amplify the sense of isolation. Real risks involve active security presence, legal restrictions, and potential structural weaknesses in long-closed sectors. The environment is often described as quiet and dense, with constant echo and light entering unevenly through aging windows. Creedmoor has operated for over a century and has undergone official wing closures throughout its history. Popular report: there are claims of footsteps and metallic sounds in vacant corridors, experiences that remain within personal testimony. And if a partially active complex already carries such an atmosphere, the next hospital takes us deeper into a past that generated national debate. United States, Los Angeles, California. Linda Vista Community Hospital. Located in Los Angeles, California, United States. Linda Vista Community Hospital was an urban medical facility that gained notoriety after its closure and years of abandonment. Its main reputation is linked to reports associated with its empty upper floors in the middle of a busy city environment. Built in the early 20th century, it operated for decades as a community hospital. Financial and administrative challenges eventually led to its closure, beginning a long period of structural decline. The building features multiple stories, long corridors, and rows of former patient rooms and treatment areas. During its abandoned years, parts of the interior showed water damage, peeling paint, and visible deterioration. Access was restricted for long periods. Internal movement is defined by repetitive hallways and inconsistent lighting, creating a persistent sense of confinement. Real risks include unstable areas, debris, and legal consequences for unauthorized entry. The atmosphere is often described as heavy and silent, with footsteps echoing through corridors and dim light filtering through tall windows, casting sharp shadows along the walls. Documented fact: the hospital was officially closed and remained unused for years before redevelopment efforts began. Visitors and film crews have described unexplained noises and doors appearing to move on their own in empty wings. Experiences that remain within testimony. And if an abandoned hospital in the center of a major city already creates discomfort, the next carries an institutional past that sparked nationwide reform. United States, Spring City, Pennsylvania, Pennhurst State School and Hospital. Located in Spring City, Pennsylvania, United States, Pennhurst State School and Hospital was an institution created to house individuals with disabilities and became known for its controversial history and later abandonment. Its notoriety is directly tied to investigations that exposed critical conditions during the 20th century. Founded in the early 1900s, the complex expanded rapidly and housed a large number of residents under the institutional model of its time. Over the years, investigative journalism and official inquiries revealed serious systemic failures, leading to structural reforms and eventually to its gradual closure. The site consists of multiple brick buildings connected by internal corridors and open grounds, forming a large campus-like institutional complex. After closure, many structures deteriorated, with broken windows and vegetation advancing across the property. Access was restricted for years. Internal circulation includes long hallways, wide dormitory spaces, and repetitive wings that make orientation difficult. Real risks include aging infrastructure, damaged flooring, interior darkness, and legal restrictions against unauthorized entry. The atmosphere is frequently described as heavy and silent, with wind passing through broken windows, prolonged echoes in empty wards, and old doors reacting to light drafts. Documented fact: Pennhurst was the subject of official investigations that influenced major changes in institutional care policies in the United States. Popular report: visitors claim to hear distant voices, footsteps, and metallic noises in vacant dormitories, experiences that remain within personal testimony. And if documented history alone makes this place significant, the next stands out not only for its past, but for the monumental scale of its architecture. United States, Weston, West Virginia, Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. Located in Weston, West Virginia, United States, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum is a former psychiatric hospital known for its massive architecture and the reports associated with the site. Its primary notoriety comes from its scale and extended period of operation. Constructed in the 19th century, it was designed as a large mental health institution. It faced severe overcrowding and shifts in treatment philosophy until it was officially closed following reforms in mental health care. The main structure is enormous, with long wings extending from a central core, wide staircases, and corridors that seem endless. Its durable stone construction reinforces a sense of permanence and internal maze-like design. Today, access is available through organized tours. Circulation includes narrow hallways, antique doors, and dimly lit areas that intensify the perception of isolation as visitors move deeper into the building. Real risks include uneven floors, aging infrastructure, and the need to follow strict safety guidelines during visits. The environment is marked by strong echoes, wood and metal reacting to temperature shifts, and filtered light through tall windows, casting vertical shadows across the floors. Documented fact: the asylum operated for an extended period and is historically recognized as one of the largest psychiatric institutions built in the region. Popular report: visitors describe hearing footsteps, doors shifting, and sensing movement in isolated wings, experiences that remain within personal testimony. And if this monumental structure already feels overwhelming in scale, the final hospital on this list is often cited as one of the most intense when it comes to abandoned medical facilities. United States, Louisville, Kentucky, Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Located in Louisville, Kentucky, United States, Waverly Hills Sanatorium is a former tuberculosis treatment facility internationally known for both its medical history and the reports associated with the site. Its notoriety combines a difficult healthcare past, imposing architecture, and a powerful atmosphere. Opened in the early 20th century, it was designed to isolate patients during critical stages of tuberculosis, at a time when effective treatments were limited. As medical advances reduced cases and improved recovery rates, the facility lost its original function and was eventually deactivated, going through periods of abandonment and later preservation efforts. The building contains multiple floors, extended corridors, and repetitive internal wards that reinforce a sense of confinement. An underground passage once used for internal transport became one of the most talked about areas within the complex. Access today occurs through guided tours. Circulation includes aging staircases, isolated wings, and areas with limited natural light, increasing the sense of distance from entrance to exit. Real risks include old infrastructure requiring careful movement, limited lighting in certain areas, and strict rules during night tours. The atmosphere is often described as cold, with prolonged echoes and wind passing through tall windows. At night, long shadows dominate the hallways, and any small sound seems to travel rapidly through the structure. Documented fact: the sanatorium operated during the most critical period of tuberculosis in the United States, with extensively documented historical records. Popular report: visitors described voices, footsteps, and movement in empty wards, experiences that remain within personal testimony and contribute to the site's reputation. After this escalation, it becomes clear that some abandoned hospitals hold not only aging structures, but memories that seem to linger long after the hulls have fallen silent. From Hospital del Torax in Chile to Waverly Hills Sanatorium in the United States, we explored some of the most supernatural abandoned hospitals in America. We began with complexes marked by local reports and moved toward institutions carrying heavily documented historical weight. With each position, the tension increased, blending real records with testimonies that continue to be repeated. Empty corridors, silent wards, and buildings overtaken by time are not just old structures. They are physical reminders of what happened inside and the impact these places had across different eras. These hospitals are not just ruins. They are concrete memories of difficult periods that still spark curiosity and unease. Now tell me, which one impacted you the most? Would you dare to visit any of these places at night? And which other abandoned hospital should be included in the next list? If you enjoy this kind of content, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. It supports the channel and guarantees new videos in the same style, always exploring places with increasingly intense histories.